A bill once praised as the clean energy breakthrough of a generation is now quietly dismantling the very industry it was meant to build.
Eva, the United States has offered clean energy tax credits for decades. For example, a tax credit for homeowners who install solar panels was passed back in 2005.
Projects are frozen, jobs are vanishing, and somewhere in Arizona, hundreds of solar panels sit unclaimed in desert sun. Not because the technology failed, but because the support was withdrawn. In May 2025, Meyer Burger, a Swiss solar manufacturer, laid off 283 workers at its Arizona facility. The factory had just opened 1 year earlier, but when its main U.S. client abruptly canceled a 5-year purchase deal, production stopped cold. In Buckeye, another energy firm, Core Power, quietly pulled the plug on a $1.25 billion battery plant. No press conference, no public statement, just a fenced-off lot and thousands of jobs never created. Something isn't breaking. Something is being let go. A solar technician in Mesa was told his project was on indefinite hold. He was weeks away from completing his training. Now, his tools are boxed in a garage he can no longer afford. He's not the only one. Across the Midwest and Southwest, over 1.7 million clean energy jobs are now at risk. Wages, health benefits, union contracts all suspended in limbo. In Illinois, customers of Ameren are already feeling the shift. Residential electricity bills have risen between 18 and 22% just this year. They were told renewables would bring stability. Now they're paying more for promises that were quietly withdrawn. After the IRA passed in 2022, over 400 clean energy projects were announced nationwide. From solar farms in Texas to wind blade factories in Colorado. But by mid-2025, many have been frozen or canceled. The spark that once ignited $132 billion in private investment is being snuffed out by legislative uncertainty. SolarEdge, First Solar, and Sunrun, 3 of the industry's largest players, have each seen stock prices plunge 15 to 22% in just weeks. Developers warn, without long-term tax credits, projects become high-risk, low-return, and risk does not attract capital. Some reports suggest foreign firms are already redirecting investments toward Europe and Southeast Asia. Their reasoning is blunt. It's not the technology, it's the politics. The Inflation Reduction Act was once projected to cut U.S. emissions by 40% by 2030. But under the proposed One Big Beautiful Bill from the Trump administration, those targets are drifting out of reach. Meanwhile, China is on track to capture more than 33% of global clean energy investment in 2025. The European Union is aiming for 50% of its power from renewables by year-end. And the United States, stuck in legal rewrites, partisan amendments, and subsidy reversals. Some industry leaders now fear the U.S. is not just falling behind, but voluntarily stepping away from the race. No protest signs, no national outcry, just silence and stopped construction. It started as a line item in a 947-page proposal, titled the One Big Beautiful Bill. The Trump administration's 2025 tax reform aims to consolidate federal spending by rolling back nearly all clean energy tax credits introduced under the Inflation Reduction Act. The bill phases out investment and production tax credits for solar, wind, and battery storage starting in 2026. It also introduces tariffs on clean tech components sourced from China, regardless of where they're assembled. Supporters call it a correction, a rebalancing after what they see as oversubsidization. But critics warn, this isn't budget control. It's an abrupt decoupling from a decade of momentum. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen stated bluntly, ending clean energy credits would raise costs for families and discourage industrial investment. And yet, the legislative wheels kept turning. Hearings moved fast. Amendments came late. By the time the public noticed, the damage was procedural. There were no headlines about exits. No big companies said they were leaving. They just stopped calling back. A factory floor in Ohio. The conveyor belt is silent. Boxes of unused solar inverters are stacked against the wall, labeled for projects that no longer exist. At the port of Los Angeles, a container of European-made wind blades sits in quarantine. Not because it failed inspection, but because the buyer has vanished. Every halted project adds friction to America's economy. Higher electricity costs ripple through grocery chains, logistics hubs, and manufacturing plants. What starts with power spreads to price tags. According to the International Energy Agency, the global economy will see over $2 trillion invested in clean energy this year. More than half of it will go to Asia and the EU. Not because they are cheaper, but because they're predictable. Meanwhile, in the US, classrooms teaching green engineering are seeing students drop out. Startups are downsizing. And one by one, international contracts are being lost on Zoom calls that never make the news. No official declared the end of clean energy. It just stopped being funded.